Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We have a wonderful guest today, and you are in for a treat. We are all in for a treat because it's always exciting when I get to talk to my friend, Kim Whiting, who is a former psychotherapist, life coach, and two-time magazine publisher. She has teamed up with prison inmates, former gang members, gang leaders, drug addicts, and drug dealers to create media that opens eyes and hearts. She also does individual coaching with our just general population outside of the prison walls. And she really just works her magic. Magic is going to be the theme word of our podcast today. She also actively leads positive imagery and life coaching groups and facilitates workshops on happiness and creativity. Happiness is that theme word that you see throughout all of the messages that we have on the podcast. And she has an upcoming book titled Like Magic, which is pretty incredible too, because she does have a tendency to see the magic in everything that is. Just like we've been talking about seeing what is and seeing what could be. And she always has a tendency to see what could be. So, Kim, it's great to have you today. Can you share a little bit about your book with us?
I would love to, and then I'm going to out you on a story that's in the book about you. Yeah, what you were just saying about happiness. Einstein said that we can see everything as nothing is a miracle or everything is a miracle, and I think that that goes for the little things in life, like washing the dishes and or getting up in the morning and being able to breathe, but I think it also goes to the hard times. If we can see the challenges that we face as somehow part of the magic, as imbued with magic. And by the way, I'm going to go off on a ton of tangents because I'm ADD.
Me
But
too. So you're in good
we're in
company.
good company, right? So one of the stories in my book is about our former neighbor Matthew, who used to crack us up. My husband originally thought that because Jeff would only see Matt walking the neighborhood from behind with jeans and this long flowing blonde hair, and thought that Matt was like a hot chick. But it turns out Matthew is quite a handsome guy, just happens to have long hair, and he'd walk around barefoot. And anyway, we got to talking about him. He loved to travel, and he had a long time thing for Latinas. He loved Latin American women, and he was flying to Cali, Colombia, with the goal of, well, seeing a city of 4 million people and checking out for the first time, but also hopefully meeting a woman that he liked. And on the plane, he met a woman who said, they befriended each other, and she said, "Oh my gosh, you have to meet my cousin Maritza. You'll love her." And they exchanged numbers, or I'm sorry, she gave him her number. And this was let me think, about 20 years ago, 19 years ago. So, before it was easy to find people on the internet. Anyway, but when he got to his hotel, he realized that he had lost this new friend's number, and he was really bummed about that. But he's got a default setting of happy, and he was excited to be there. And by the way, having a default setting of happy is what brings on the magic. And I say that purposefully so that that's really why like attracts like. And so that happy thrive vibe that he just normally goes to attracted the magic. So here's what happened. He goes to this big mall to check it out. Again, city of 4 million people, and he bumps into this new friend and Maritza, her cousin Maritza, and it was love at first sight. They've now been married 18 years and have 2 kids, and they're super happy together. But here's the point in all this. If he hadn't, okay, so meeting somebody on the plane willing to introduce him to her beautiful cousin would have been a nice, origin of the relationship story. It would have been nice magic. But the misfortune of losing that phone number is what really made the magic. It imbued the relationship with such a sense of significance that it got them through the really hard times that were to come. Getting citizenship for her, 2 years long distance, very long distance, internationally, and it got him through that. So if we can look at the quote misfortunes in our life and the hard times as part of the magic, that they at least have the potential of somehow making things just all the more wonderful in the longer run, then we're not only feeling happier at the moment, but we're more likely to keep ourselves open to the magic, because if we believe in it and expect it, it's much more, we keep those channels open to it. So yeah, so I think that having a happy thrive vibe is about seeing the magic even in the struggle. And even as it feels like a struggle, I'm not saying don't feel the struggle. I'm just saying be open to the possibility that it's part of the magic and that you hold the wand.
Do you think it's learned? Do you think that people innately are just able to see the magic and hope for the best and know that there's something better on the other side, even through the mud and the muck? Or do you think that, because you've worked with a lot of people one-on-one, so have you been able to teach people how to do that? Like, some
Well,
people are just optimistic and some people are pessimistic. Like, that's their default.
well, I think we're all born with this knowing about where we came from, what we're really made out of, the light beings that we actually are, and the light and love that we live within. You know, that's the soup we're in. It's this loving, you know, infinitely intelligent energy. So we're born with that connection, and then we unlearn it through our life, through the limited appearance of our lives, and which is a great thing. I mean, we wouldn't have a life experience if we didn't have the us and the them and the here and the there and linear time. So that's a great thing. But the more that we experience this limited reality, the more believable it becomes, and the more we forget about that connection. So we do unlearn it. But there are some people who, you know, when it all boils down to is that we are like Skinner's lab rats. And if we get a food pellet for something, an electric shock for something, you know, it alters our behavior. And some people are, you know, given more shocks, and some people are given more pellets, and some people are given pellets for suffering. You know, there's a lot of us who, you know, if we're working really hard and really suffering, they're like, you're so strong and you're so wonderful, or we're over giving of ourselves, and people go, oh God, I so appreciate you. And so we can actually get rewards for not being in the magic and not being in integrity with ourselves. So and by the same token, yes, I mean, the more aware we are of what we're up to and how we have fallen out of integrity because of these rewards that we've gotten, or the electric shocks that we've gotten, the more we can learn how to see the rewards, like Matthew Maritz's story, you know, see the rewards even in the quote misfortune, or see the possibility of it being in there, seeing the hard times as just as important and just as special as the not hard times. I think helps us keep a happier vibe. And it's all about law of attractions, and it's about how much we believe in it. So as we focus on expanding our belief, being aware of the thoughts that limit ourselves, we can absolutely open those floodgates. And the more that we appreciate, and, you know, again, seeing even hardship as a positive thing means appreciating it, and appreciating is the key to magic. And joyfully appreciating and joyfully receiving, saying yes, swings the portal to magic wide open. That's our abracadabra, our open sesame, is that kind of joyful appreciation of what is.
I remember you telling me that once, and you said, because I kept, you know me, I mean, I'm almost 50 years old, and for the last 20 years that we've known each other, 20 plus years,
Yeah.
I've struggled because I want fun and I want adventures, but it was like I didn't even know how to do that for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I was so lacking of having fun. I didn't even know how to have it. And having it seemed like a chore. It almost seemed like I had to put it on my to-do list and I had to make time for these things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember you telling me that when you're having the most fun, like childlike fun, with no cares in the world, that is when, you know, the whole world is singing your praises. And it has happened time and time again where we've been out on the boat, or I've even been out just in my backyard reading and being peaceful and just not even thinking about my to-do list, and manatees have come up in my canal. Or we've been, you know, out on the boat having fun, and dolphins are coming riding next, they're just playing with each other right next to the boat. It's almost like they're cheering me on. It's almost like they're cheering me on, like, you can
Mhm.
do this, you can have fun. So that's something that you've taught me over the
Those are your
last few
food, those
years.
are your food pellets, you know, you got those are rewards. You get the dolphins and you go, ooh, this is how, it's almost like biofeedback, you know, okay, this is how I'm feeling and that's what's happening that I love. And so I'm going to feel more of that. But what I love about magic, and I'm, you know, quote, quote, magic, is that the feeling, that peacefulness while you're reading a book out there is the magic too. You know, like you're, that's such a magical feeling, and the magical feeling then attracts magical circumstances, which creates yet more magical feeling, and it's just like, whoa, you know, it's an upward spiral, as long as, you know, somebody doesn't then cut you off in traffic and you're like, "Wah," you know, because it can go away in an instant. I mean, I think a lot of us have, you know, just that come out of like an awesome seminar or church service or something, and we're pulling out of the parking lot, and someone, and we're just like feeling all holy, and you know, in the got the Holy Ghost power, and then we someone cuts us off and we're like, asshole. So
I know we're just about as passionate about the anger as we were five
oh
minutes ago, as passionate as we were about
yeah,
the gratitude of the moment of peace.
absolutely. But you know, if we didn't have that, I mean, if we always felt that blissy, it wouldn't feel bliss anymore. That would just be the status quo. It's like a good weather day in Southern California. It's like, oh, here we go again. You know, it's just weather. It's not a great day. I mean, here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, we get a day like Southern California. We're like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. And we really appreciate it because we've got the other weather. And so we need those other weather systems in our lives in order for the magic to feel magical. We got to have, because it's the rush of the
Mhm.
vibrational change that it's, you know, it's the equivalent of like going over the edge, you know, the top of the roller coaster and into the plunges, like woo, that's and it would only happen with the contrast of those other times. So talking about fun, so here's where I'm going to out you. So for those of you listening or watching, Laura and I did a seminar together, and 10 day, 9 day seminar. And
We
her
did a
story,
couple of them. I think that was the longest one though.
yeah, there was a week one, and yeah, so and they were great and hard and also horrible. But anyway, so
Yes, but I still get aha moments from them to this
oh
day.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
that
me
of,
too.
like, I didn't even get it for this whole time until I do something.
Right,
I'm like,
right. And this particular
oh,
experience, I
yeah,
think,
this is the
that I'm
pull.
about to
Yeah.
talk about, yeah, this experience that you had is in my book, and I use it as an example all the I use you as an example all the time. So Laura we did this horse whisperer activity, and what you did was you go into the corral and you stand by this horse. We did it one at a time, and beforehand we were told to think about what intention we were going to set for ourselves. And so you stood by this horse and you said, I'm going to such and such, and you stated your goal. And because horses are herd animals, and also because they have to be aware of predators and things that are out of sync, they can feel when we are in integrity or not. So if a person is in integrity with their goal, the horse will move forward with them as the person starts walking. And if not, no go. Or other things will happen, such as Laura's experience. So Laura, you know, confidently stated her intention, whatever it was, and the horse not only didn't move, it just flopped down and like was on its back shimmying and like making kind of obscene sounds, and Laura was absolutely horrified. The rest of us just thought it was the best thing, but she was absolutely horrified. And it's funny because all of us afterward, most of us came out of that experience seeing the metaphor really clearly. I mean, you know, it like my own experience with the horse completely mimicked my progress in life. And I think that the horse was demonstrating that Laura, I mean, as you can already tell, she's just a bubble of light, but she's had circumstances, raising her kid brother starting at the age of 18, etc., that have taught her to be not only be hyper responsible, but keep the appearance of hyper responsibility. And so that was, those were the electric shocks basically that taught you to, well, I guess you got rewarded. I should say it the other way. You got rewarded for being this kind of no nonsense. I got it together. Don't worry about me.
Oh, but there were electric shocks in there for sure.
Well, yes. But I think that you got rewarded for being the responsible person. They said, okay, you can handle this. You're so good with your kid brother, etc. And so you got trained out of playing. And one time we were doing imagery, and I suggested to our group that that we all picture ourselves twirling, and Laura said that she loved twirling as a girl, and she could just totally see that and connected with that child, and that was the horse rolling in the dirt, just being itself and feeling good, and looking a little outrageous and not caring. And I think that you have done a whole lot of work over the last 20 years to get to the point where you're much more willing to look the fool, or, I mean, doing these podcasts, huge. I mean, you're putting yourself on the line and talking about things that aren't academia like you're used to, or, business related. You're just talking about your soul and your journey with other people. And so that vulnerability, for those of you listening and watching, is a huge step for Laura. And what you're going to get out of these podcasts is how Laura got to this point, how she learned to play again, how she learned to be like a child, and be where the magic is. That's where the magic is.
I hate to admit this, but I don't even remember what your horse did. You said your horse mimicked your life. What did your horse do, Kim?
I wouldn't remember what your horse did if it hadn't been so funny.
My horse lost its mind.
Yeah,
I was so mad at it, and I am pulling at this horse like as if I can move it. I remember pulling it and going, "No, I am. That's what I'm gonna do." I was so trying to convince it, and then I was like, "Get up, get up."
And that I mean, really, that horse was your inner child. That's
that
what
horse. It was my nemesis.
Your inner child.
It was my nemesis for at least a decade. I would get so mad whenever I would think about that horse.
And you were like, I mean, if you think of that as little girl Laura, and you're like getting it by the harness, going, "Don't do that!" Oh, you're like, "You're appalling me. Yep. You're embarrassing me." So yes, your inner child. Yeah, I wouldn't have remembered. I don't remember. There was 30 of us. I don't remember anybody else's horse situation other than my own. My own was stated my attention, and the horse just moved right away, and I was feeling all kinds of, because it didn't happen for everybody, that much I remember. Quite a few people did not get their horses to move, and even like animal people who were really
good. Oh yeah, they thought they were the horse whisperer. They were so excited for this,
and they were just going to go. It was just going to go for them, and the horse didn't move, and so I was gloating a little bit, and walking with the horse, and then it started slowing down a little bit, and then it about halfway around the corral, it just stopped, and I kid you not, shook its head no. And and I still to this day am in that routine where I get so pumped up and passionate about something, and the vibration we're in when we get an idea is really different, because that's when we're wide open. When we get the inspiration, is really different than the energy we're in when we hit the pavement to take action on that inspiration. And so what happens to me is I get pretty easily inspired and really excited. Great ideas come to me. Sometimes I'm a lightning rod, but once I get the idea, then I get all tasky, and a lot of times my projects involve other people. At that time, I was writing songs. I've done a lot of stuff. I have a short attention span for things. So anyway, I was writing music, but I played the flute. I mean, like I don't know how to compose my own music. I don't know how to do sheet music or any of that. But the melody, the arrangement, the whole thing would come to me. And so I relied on my friend who is a master musician and plays by ear and everything to do these things for me. And he was all pumped up at first, like the horse. But then as I started, worrying about getting together with him, being impatient because he wasn't available that often, etc., I got all tasky and irritable and bossy. And pretty soon, my friend Don, he just stopped and, like the horse, just shook his head, no, like I'm just bored with this now. And so, yeah, that's that's been the course of a lot of my projects. So it was really funny. And I'm gonna just add that the very next day there was this other exercise where I ended up sitting outside on a bench. I kind of got ousted from the exercise. So I'm sitting out on a bench, feeling a little resentful that I spent all that money on the seminar, among other things. But I'm looking out over this field, and then I got into that place where it's just like, I was just appreciating. We were on a ranch in Northern California. I was
It
appreciating.
is so beautiful.
Oh, and it's holy land, Native American holy land. And I was just really feeling that. And the horses were out to pasture and the live oaks. I mean, I just took a deep breath. I got a little teary and I just went, I just let it out, got out of my own way, stepped out of resistance. And so I noticed, so the horse in the activity was out there in the meadow. It was the only white horse in the herd. And all of a sudden it started glowing. I kid you not. It started glowing. I could see its aura and it nodded its head yes.
I have
So
goosebumps.
I know I still get goosebumps telling it. And like these kind of magical stories, they sound so far-fetched, even if you experience them yourself. Like when I talk about it, I feel like I'm making something up.
Oh, I wish I were making something up when I talk about my horse.
Well, my first part of the horse story is not so great, but it was a good epilogue.
So
So
had you had like an epiphany in that moment where you gave up the resistance when your horse nodded at you?
well, yes, I realized it right away. It was like I was saying, when the dolphins show up, I realized it was biofeedback. Like here I am relaxing, letting go, and I'm getting a literal nod from the universe in the form of a horse saying, "There you go, there you go. That's all. That's all there is to it. Just enjoy this. Life is your playground. Go enjoy it, savor it." So yeah, I get a little
And
choked up even
you used
now.
to say those things to me all the time. And you used to say, but Laura, what do you do? What do you do? Because you stopped trying to use the word fun, because then it's like just got rigid. It's
The
like a
F
dog that
word.
plays, it's like
The
a
F
dog that
word.
plays dead when there's a big dog that comes. Like you would go fun and I would go, ooh, like so I'm trying to have fun. So you stop trying to say, you say, well, what is it that you do that when you're doing it, you lose track of time, or
Mhm.
you forget to eat, or you forget to do the important things that you wouldn't normally forget to do.
Mhm.
And I used to think, are you crazy? I mean, whoever would miss a meal? I have no idea what I
Not
do.
me.
And you used to be like, there's got to be something. And what's hilarious is I feel like I don't remember weekends ever, because it was just the same day every day. It's like my birthday. I'm like, who cares if it's my birthday? I have to work.
Mhm.
Like it's the same day every day of the year. I
Mhm.
don't care. And my weekends were the same. Well, now that I actually have a hobby, I'm doing something for fun. I'm creating for the first time, and not just in my head and then shutting it down. I'm telling you, my weekends go by so fast and my nights go by so fast. And I'll be up until 2 o'clock in the morning and then think, oh my gosh, I have to go to sleep because I actually have to get up in 4 hours. So this is for the first time ever. Am I feeling that? And it's
Well,
so
hang on.
fun.
Hang on. It is super fun. And I love that you can use the F word now. But I, I you had a warm up to this. It wasn't just like you found one thing that was kind of big, like doing these podcasts is what Laura is referring to, and vlogs. Um, because a lot of times when we think, when people are asked the question, like, what do you really love to do? What we're really thinking is, what do I love to do that could make me money, that I'd be good at, that I wouldn't look foolish doing at least, or that is productive somehow. We're not really thinking like really the question should be, what is the 3-year-old you like to do, love to do? So listeners, Laura's original response to this months ago was that she likes thrift shopping and like turning these things that are, maybe even kind of junky into treasures and working them into her cool decor. And like she just started doing, I said, focus more on that. Like you don't have to make a business out of this. Just do it because it's fun. Bring a friend, whatever. And so there was a warm up. I mean, you did just start focusing
All
on just
right.
like
I
on
still do
thrift
love thrift
shopping.
shopping.
Right. You're not going
Yes.
to stop that because that's
No,
fun.
just saying it makes me happy.
Yeah. So that was, I think you had to rev up, and we can see law of attraction or our vibe as being like a train of thought. And so you in just going thrift shopping, and it could have been something as simple as taking more time to go read a book and look at the manatees, just once a day or something. You stop the train from perhaps going in the direction that you didn't want to go in, and it starts moving in the direction you do. If you had gone straight for a podcast, it probably would have been too much. Like Abraham Hicks says, it's like jumping on, like if the carousel is spinning,
right.
that it'll throw you off if you're not on the right vibration for it. So yeah, you had to be at an equal speed.
Well, and I've had a couple of epic fails along the way. Like we honestly, in the last, I probably want to say 7 years, I will even narrow it down. I think it's 7 years. We've bought 3 campers. Why have we bought 3 campers? Because I buy a camper because that's what I want to do. I want to go have adventures for fun. And then we buy it. We go on 2. I think this is ridiculous. I have work to do. I don't have time to go on camping adventures. This is just the craziest thing ever. Why would I spend money to go camp somewhere without power, with no Wi-Fi, and I can't do my work? And my husband, of course, he's like, well, because you're on vacation, so you're supposed to be having vacation. But I couldn't comprehend that. So we would come back, and honestly, I would sell the camper. And he would say, are we going to keep this, or are you just going to list it? I'm like, probably going to list it. So now we are on our 3rd camper, and I have every intention of keeping it. But it's one of the things you always talk to us about in our small group that we work in on Tuesday nights is it's not the thing, it's how it makes you feel. A lot of times we attach, I want to do this because I think it will make me feel this way. But the feel this way is like the secondary thing. But really that is the first thing. It's not the thing itself. It's how you feel, how you think you're going to feel when you're either doing it or once you get it or once you're immersed in it.
Well, and the irony is that we first, in order to attract what we want, to open to it, we first have to feel that way. So, if we want a house on the beach, we first have to feel like we would feel with the house on the beach in order to attract it. And then we don't really care about the house on the beach so much because we already feel the feeling, you know what I'm saying? But I do want to say, Laura, that you use the word epic fails for your, buying and selling your campers. They say, I think the stats are that, most addicts need to go through rehab 3 times before it sticks.
Oh, good.
So,
this is a win-win situation then.
Exactly. So are the first 2 times failures? No, they were part of the process of success. So yeah,
they were part of the process of my husband learning how to say, no, we're not getting another camper.
But it's also part of the process of success. It's getting you closer to really being able to camp. Yeah. To break the work addiction. Yes. Yeah.
And so
now, you took a trip not long ago.
Oh man, we've had so many good adventures. And what's ironic is when the ones we've gone to, they have 0 Wi-Fi. In this day and age, you would think either my hotspot would work, they would have Wi-Fi on camp, and they all say that they do. I check it before I go, and they have nothing. And it's just hilarious. So now I just give into it. I just know.
I bet everybody else there has Wi-Fi. It's just you.
Probably. It probably is just me. And and it's funny because all the light is saying, can you please not work? I bring both of my laptops every time, my personal and my work. I'm like, I'm going to get so much done while we're camping, and I get nothing done.
Yeah. Which is, thank God. Yeah.
Right.
That means you're doing it right.
Yeah,
And
it's a lot of
have you
fun.
ever come back from a camping trip or a trip, and after getting nothing done for however long, and not been able to get done what you needed to get done?
No,
Yeah,
ever,
right.
ever,
Because what
ever.
happens is when we enjoy ourselves, again, when we enjoy ourselves, let me say it this way: enjoying ourselves is the most productive thing we can do, far more productive than taking any kind of action. Because when we are enjoying ourselves, we're at a high vibration where the kingdom of heaven is, where the treasures are. And so we literally create more time. Everything is in abundance in that higher vibration, including time. So we actually create more time, because time is just an illusion. We actually create more time when we enjoy ourselves.
Well, speaking of time, I shared with you a couple of weeks ago in one of the sessions that I used to say, now I know I used to, have all, I'd have two jobs, a side hustle, all my responsibility, and I would just own it. Every day I would think, I have to do all these things. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. And there's so much power in words because I convinced myself I didn't have enough time. And every day I woke up already feeling as a deficit that I didn't
Mhm,
have enough time. And so what happened every day? I ran out of time. I would
mhm,
have 100 emails and I would sign off and I would have, 140. I'm like, I cleared more than half of my emails. I just was saying all the things that for some reason felt true. But as soon as I shifted what I was saying and convincing myself every day, I had enough time. When I stopped saying I'm so busy and I don't have enough time, I started saying I have enough time for everything I need to do and more so I can play.
right.
And I'm not too busy. I'm not too, and it's hard. It's that fine line of saying what you want and not saying what you don't want so that you don't use those words. Like when people say I want to be debt free, I'm like, no, but you're still saying you have debt.
Mhm.
There's like a fine line of what you're saying and putting out
Yeah,
there.
when you say I don't want to be busy, your brain here is busy still.
Yeah.
So yeah, and by the way, I've worked years on saying I'm going to remember this instead of don't forget, or I'm going to eat healthily instead of I'm not going to have dessert, etc. Anytime we put I am in front of something, it makes it a really powerful statement. We're owning it, we're claiming whatever follows from I am. And when we say I am busy, for example, it's an affirmation. We are
Mhm.
affirming something. So we really have to watch what we say and what we believe. Catching those habitual thoughts and beliefs that is the training on unlearning the reinforcement we've gotten, and the limitations that we've believed in our lives, and catching that. You know how they say, what do moms say? For every unkind word or whatever thing you say three positive things. To the
Oh, I remember you used to make me do that. And I've said that to my friends too, because I was terrible at that. And if someone would compliment me, I didn't know how to take it. And I would just, I mean, they would say, "Oh, your hair looks so good." And I would say, "Oh my gosh, it's so frizzy. And I wish that we would do what yours does." And I
Mhm,
finally had a friend say to me, she said, "I don't know why you do that. Every time someone pays you a compliment, I don't know if you know that you're doing it, but it makes the other person feel uncomfortable because you criticize yourself when you're paid a compliment.
mhm.
You have to learn to say thank you." And
Well, and in the same
and,
token, they're
and it
they're
was
they're
it
like,
was a good life lesson.
right, and they're handing you a gift. I mean, that compliment is a gift. It feels good for them to say something good about you, to recognize your magnificence, and so they hand you the gift. You're like, yeah, no, thanks. So it takes the joy out of the situation for both people, the giver and the receiver. But I mean, so Laura, like, I'm so good at preaching this stuff, but you actually practice it. Like,
I
the
do.
fact that I just said, for every negative thing you say, come up with three positive. I don't do that, unless, like, today I'll go, oh, I should start doing that again, and it'll last 2 days and I'll forget again. So yeah, I mean, you are so good at doing the
But I
work.
post things everywhere. I post things everywhere to remind myself, because I have my I am statements. I have,
Mhm.
if I don't, I will not, if I do not make the reminders for myself. I on my computer, I have all positive sayings below it. Do more of what you love, live an enchanted life, living the dream. I have all these things on my computer taped at the bottom of it to remind myself. And I have to remember not see it because it's
Mhm.
there every day. So sometimes I don't see it. But
That's the
I also
thing.
post it on my mirror. And one of the biggest things I used to do, because in our bathroom we had a huge bathroom and a huge mirror, and I would write with dry erase markers on it, and I would write reminders to myself. And every time I would go into the bathroom and wash my hands or brush my teeth or whatever, I would say those things
Mm.
because there had to be a lot of undoing with my negative belief system that I had the innate ability to turn every single thing, compliment, positive thing, into, well, I just got lucky, or well, that's never going to happen again, or thank God for this person because without them I could have never done this.
To
But
deflect your own greatness.
and it felt very strange. I remember having someone put a mirror in front of me and say, "You say that you love yourself. Say I love you," and look at the mirror and say it. I couldn't do it. I
Mhm.
could not do it. And it
Mhm.
seems like the easiest, most ridiculous thing in the whole world. And I couldn't
Mhm.
do it because it was really, really meaningful.
Mhm. Yeah, I
So
mean, loving yourself is huge, and probably the hardest person to love, because we're so focused on, we really log in, we're fine-tuned accountants when it comes to the things that we've been embarrassed about, ashamed about, that people have said to us that hurt us, this kind of thing. That accounting sheet, the gratitude list isn't nearly, an appreciation list for ourselves isn't nearly the length of our the negatives that we've cataloged. So it is tough. And I think that I'm somebody who I put sticky notes with K's on them all over the place after having twins to remember to do Kegels. They were there for years. I like almost never remembered to do Kegels. Guests would come over and go, "What's the K on your TV?" And I'd be
and you're
like,
like, oh
"Oh,
my
that's right.
gosh.
I don't even see it. Yeah, because I don't do Kegels." Yeah, and the same thing. I put up sticky notes all over, and I don't see them like you do. And so it is a discipline. The fact that you are so happy, and you guys, listeners, this woman wakes up so excited about the day. I mean, anytime you ask her how she is, she's like, "Oh my gosh, my day is so great. I'm having so much fun. I'm so excited. I can hardly stand it. I can't believe this is my life. I'm so lucky."
I say
So
that all
yeah,
day
not
long,
like
actually,
most
to
of us.
myself, to my
Yeah,
dog, to anybody who'll
yeah.
listen.
Yeah, you do have an awesome life, but you actually see that, and that keeps you in that happy zone. And but it's because you've done this work to build yourself up to that higher place. Your lows are where your highs used to be,
Hmm.
and now your highs are like ever higher. You're in a positive spiral, which is what happens when we are disciplined, and but not in a worky way, not in a worky way, just gently being kind to ourselves and saying, I'm just going to give myself a treat and remember this affirmation that's really jiving with me right now and makes me feel good. Any thought that makes us feel good, just keep thinking that.
When was the last time you jumped up and down when you got out of bed in the morning, like we were forced to do at our conference, and scream, "I'm excited, I'm
Excited,
excited, I'm
excited,
excited"?
excited.
When was the last time that you did
It
that?
was when we started the uplift group, whatever, was it a year ago?
And that's what you were doing that?
I was, because I said, why don't we all do that? And I think I did it 2 days in a row. And again, I was like, I'll remember a practice. I've got too many practices in my head as part of it, but I'll remember a practice and then forget it. But it works. It
It
does. I mean,
does. I remember being at that and I had to be like, I think I was on the top bunk, which I didn't even want to be on the top bunk, but I didn't understand the importance of getting there and claiming which bed you wanted first because, of course. So anyways,
another
I'm
metaphor for your life.
right.
Mhm.
I got what was left.
Right.
but,
Right. Yeah.
but we had to do that every morning. And I remember thinking, I look so stupid.
In
I
front of
wish
everybody else. Yeah. It
in
wasn't
front
even
of
just,
everyone else.
yeah.
And I know, I mean, I still am friends with people who I've shared rooms with at multiple conferences for Psy. And it
Yeah.
was no big deal. But for me, it was, oh, I had a phobia of, I think I had a phobia of looking foolish.
Like the horse.
Oh, definitely like the horse. I mean, the horse just concreted everything.
Yeah.
And now I still think of the horse all the time, because as fast as I'll get an idea, I'll hear, instead of the one negative and three positive, as soon as I get an idea, I hear the whole list of reasons why I shouldn't even bother. And I promise you, I just get like this movie film is playing in my brain, and my horse just falls over. And most of the time I'll say, you're right. Like, this is totally the horse. And then lately, I'm
So
like, I
you're
don't
able
care
to,
about my
are you
horse.
saying you're able to identify when you're doing that?
I can
Wow, that's
identify
great.
it now. And
Because I go way off into the, weeds when I think thoughts like that. I believe them and the story,
oh
yes.
no,
So it's
I
so
don't believe
great
it
that
at
you
all.
catch yourself. Yeah,
No, someone will say, "Oh, you'd be so good at such and such." I'm like, "Are you crazy? Do you
yeah,
know me? Have you
yeah.
never met me before?" And now I'm like, "Hey, maybe
Hmm.
I don't know how to do that. I
Yeah, it's so
probably
great
would
when we
have a
can
learning
see.
curve, but I
Right.
promise, I just see that horse falling over, and I think my horse can stay there if it wants to. I don't care." But I mean, it took a long time for me to get there. You
Right.
know?
Well, and it sounds like you've, to a degree, been able to see yourself through others' eyes, because other people see you as so much more, and I know this is the case for me too, working on it. See you as so wonderful and so much more of a light, and a gift than you see yourself, and you've started to absorb that a little bit instead of deflecting it like you did before.
Oh, that's interesting. I hope
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
I hope so. I feel like we would describe ourselves. If I had to give my eulogy, I feel like it would be so different. It'd be like, well, she tried really hard. And then someone else will come along and say, like my sister would come along and be like, she was so helpful. She would give you a shirt off her back, but not her good pair of shoes. And I mean, there's just, I think we all, I don't know if any of us view ourselves as we're viewed by others, which is a gift and a curse.
I think I'm starting to. Yeah, I think, I think I think I just got tired of seeing myself like I had been seeing myself. And so I started, noticing what people say and how people respond to me. Because before, my deflection was, you don't really know me. That's why. If you spent time with me, if you were my husband or my kids and were in the house with me, you would know. But the thing is, like, even though my husband would say, oh boy, she gets into her pit of despair, and she can take a ride down, and be really cranky and bitchy and bossy. I think he would still say, you are a light. You are a love
You
force.
are. And we say it all the time in our
That's what I'm
group.
saying. But when you
Yeah,
guys say it, I'm like,
we
you
see it.
don't know me that well.
And
You
when
only
you
see
say,
my few
"Oh, I've
minutes
done
of
a
good.
million things," we're like, we know, we love that you're so adventurous and that you take chances. I mean, that you always have. That's
I am
always
the
been.
opposite of you that way. Excuse me, let me rephrase that. I'm the opposite of how you were 20 years ago. Now, I mean, look at you. You're like you're just like taking your clothes off in front of us,
It is
emotionally,
definitely different.
psychologically. So, yes, you've come a long way, baby. Yeah, you're with the horse now,
Thank
going like
you.
this and going, yes,
My
it's
horse is
good.
dancing on all fours instead of on its belly. I mean, on its back, belly up, just
Yeah.
dying laughing. And the more I said, the more it laughed. I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. It was like, yeah, right.
It just mocked you. It totally
I don't
mocked.
even remember what I was trying to convince the horse that I was going to do. I don't remember it at all.
You were
I feel like
shouting, get up.
I had an out of body experience, and that's all I remember. It's
You were
like,
horrified. You were
I was horrified. I
absolutely
remember that.
horrified
I
saying,
remember
get
that
up.
feeling of shame and embarrassment
Yeah.
of, oh my gosh, I can't even hide this. My horse is on the
Yeah.
ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's funny about that is, anybody looking would say the horse is acting up. They wouldn't say that had anything to do with you, but you innately knew that horse was you, that it was like that was the
It
you.
was responding to what I was saying for
Well,
sure.
that was the horse.
And my just like my whole being at that moment.
That was the horse showing the side of you didn't want seen, and you knew it. Yeah. I don't think you would have classed it, but on a subconscious level, you knew that that's exactly which is why it was so horrifying for you, because you're like, you're showing everybody who I am and what I'm really like under this veneer. So
Yeah,
yeah,
very polished and professional. That's how,
Yeah,
I always supposed to be.
yeah,
So
yeah.
now I am, but that's my day job.
Well, you
Now
are,
my
but
weekend, now my weekend fun is my podcasting and my website and all of the fun things to just really, I've had so many people, you have too, you've had so many people say to you how much you impact other people without you even realizing it. And you're not trying to.
Mhm,
It's just like an added bonus of you living your life is that
mhm.
other people get to glean from your happiness. I mean, you created, I remember I still have my membership card somewhere to the Happy Shiny Heiny Club.
The
I
Shiny
mean,
Honey Club, yeah,
Shiny Heiny Club. I have and I was like, Kim's so crazy. She's so crazy. But I mean, how can I not look at that card and laugh?
yeah.
But people just say, I wish you would share. You bring joy. And that's been hard for me to accept because it's been hard to accept compliments. But I think when you come from the more that you have struggled, and that there's no like, you know, medals or ribbons for the levels of struggling that anybody has. But I feel like you do, when you do struggle, you have a level of empathy for those people who might be going through the same thing. Or if you don't, you see in others what you can recognize in yourself. So if you didn't have any of those struggles, you wouldn't be able to recognize if someone else is struggling sometimes. And so I feel like that's where I'm helpful. That's why when I went into education, I went to teach high school to help these kids because I was the adult that I wish I had when I was in high school.
Well, here's the thing, because we're vibrational, our scientists, quantum physicists say that like we're actually, this is all just light in movement. It's not actually solid, our bodies or anything around us. But we pick up other people's vibrations really well. And so we know somebody who has transcended something that we're struggling with. And so people who are still struggling with where you used to be, they can feel that in you. And they can feel that you're above that now and experiencing more happiness. And so they gravitate to you, kind of like, people going to the ashram, the guru in India, to be in that vibrational field of somebody who's more enlightened. They go to you because, and part of it is because they know that you're going to understand, or at least not misunderstand them, that you're going to know where they're coming from, and so you're a safe zone. But that's not the only, that's a wonderful gift that we naturally, effortlessly offer when we've been through hard times. How without, I mean, seriously, without, we don't even have to empathize. It's just that it's in our vibration already. It's written in our code, and so people benefit from it, feel it, and benefit from it. But you give a gift. I mean, you're not just a light because you have struggled. You're a light because you're a light. And when we are happy, when we are taking good care of ourselves, when we're, again, enjoying ourselves is the most productive, and loving ourselves is the most productive thing we can do, because then we're in that vibration that just, what is it? Abraham Hicks says that one person in they call it the vortex, that kind of heavenly zone, counteracts a million negative thinkers. And just think of the power of that, just being in a good mood, basically. I mean, that's basically what it's saying. Those who like themselves, are in a good mood, counteract a million people being negative. I wouldn't say that's a scientific, number, but in
Right.
general, the positive, that once you flip the light switch on in a dark room, the dark's gone. That's just one light.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Yeah. And so when we're happy and loving ourselves and feeling great, we just light up whatever room we're in, like that light switch. Yeah.
Well, Kim, hopefully you'll be back on very frequently
Oh, I
because
would
I
love
think
that. We're gonna have
just
fun.
just having conversations, it just all comes out naturally. I mean, Kim and I have been friends for a very long time, but she's just so gifted and talented for knowing the perfect thing to say for someone to have an aha, even if it's 2 3 weeks later or 5 years later. I mean, there's still ahas that I have from when she coached me. I got to a point where with my career, I felt like I was at a standstill and I needed someone who knew me, not just listened to what I said. And Kim was that person for me. She really helped me through that. And Kim, if others wanted to reach out to you, I'm going to go ahead and link in the description your email address so that people can come to you for individual coaching?
That'd be great. Yeah. Or just if you have feedback or questions about today or thoughts, yeah, open to that too. Get the conversation going. Love to hear. Wouldn't it be great if listeners did send in some questions and we can in later podcasts answer them? That'd be really
That would
fun.
be amazing.
Yeah. That'd be
All
really
right. That's the call to action.
fun.
Let us
Okay.
know your questions.
Okay.
And so then we will
Send us
have
your questions.
our next will be Q&A and tangents in between, because that's just how we roll. But Kim, thank you. It was such a pleasure having you today.
Oh, it's great. It's great. And guys, I will be on again to let you know when my book comes out. I'm planning on putting it out in December, but it's full of these quote magic stories. Every chapter starts with a magic story, like I've been talking about with Matthew Maritza and the horse and all that stuff. And that alone, if you don't even look at the practices and points to ponder, just reading about those stories raises the bar on belief. And what to expect from life. It reminds us how supported we are, which opens the door more to those experiences happening. So even if you just like once in a while open up to one of the stories and get that belief boost, it'll increase the magic in your life. But I also do include practices and things too. So I'm really excited for it to come out. I think people are going to get a real boost from it.
I'm thrilled for it to come out.
Yeah.
What book is this for you that you published? Your second, I mean, probably like your 37th book that you've
Well,
written.
I've written a bunch of books and I've published some. I'm only going to claim that this is number 2. I mean, in terms of ones that I would actually like people to read.
Well, this one's going to be amazing, because I can tell just from the way you talk about it and that you've talked through it, and I know it's going to be amazing. So
Yeah,
we'll speak it
think
into
so.
existence for
I think
sure.
it'll be a nice little Reader's Digest, uplift while you're doing your morning constitutional.
Well, thanks, Kim.
All
And
right, this has
everyone,
been
get
so
us those
great.
questions.
All right, bye. Bye, everybody.